your program is in the program. In our program booklet, we're going to do things a little different tonight because our Attorney General needs to get down to New York City and she has a flight. And we all know how the flights are out of Syracuse, right, Mayor Walsh? I mean that out loud. But before we do, what we're going to do, if you would like, I'd like to bring up our pastor, Christine Moore of Enoch's Walk Ministry in Syracuse to bless this event. Pastor Moore.
Well, I don't have a song, so thank you for that song and introduction. We ask that the food will be blessed and that the workers in the kitchen will be blessed and each person here that have any cares on their hearts, any cares within their home, that you would be blessed and a special blessing on all those that will be speaking, all those that will be honored. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. So, like I said, we're doing things a little out of order to accommodate the Attorney General. And the Attorney General, I'm going to warn you, Judge Cecil has more props down here than a prop comic. So just be careful when you're up here. So it's my great honor to introduce our honored speaker tonight, the Attorney General Letitia James, or she's probably known down the city as Tish James. And I first met her back in 2013 at 1199. We have this really, very big Christmas party, or holiday party every year. And so I saw her come in, and by the way, for all of you that complain about the craziness of your local union, let me tell you about the craziness of mine. So there was this VIP room, and they had some elected officials that were invited from upstate, probably 2 or 3, and all of these elected officials from New York City, because it's taking place in Manhattan. So the person that was supposed to be from New York City walked off, and I was there trying to figure out who's who. And so then people were like, oh, who are you? Oh, that's the common council president of the city of New York. Oh, geez, I don't know who these people are. But then when Tish came in, everyone was like, oh, Tish is here. And then I was like, oh, it's Tish James. Who do we care about who she is? Well, let me tell you why we care about who she is. Because for years, she has been a fighter for people. She has been so good to my union, 1199, and all the unions down in New York. So then, fast forward a few years, it's 2017. President 45 was put in the White House. Everyone's hair was on fire. And I just went to Black and Hispanic Caucus, and at the labor lunch, one of the featured speakers was Tish James, who at that point was public advocate for New York City. And let me tell you something. She tore that place up. I've never heard a politician quote from Method Man, DMX, and yet had that place on its feet to the point where a lot of New York City folks were like, why isn't she the mayor? Yeah. Oh, it was deep that day. But what it did was it sold me on the passion, on the sense of justice, and really when she became the Attorney General of the State of New York, I'm like, thank God, because we have a fight for us there. I'd like to bring up to you here our Attorney General, Tish James.
Stretch, and that's okay. I want to thank Mark for that warm introduction, and I also want to recognize in the audience, of course, the great mayor of Syracuse, Mayor Walsh, who today I gave a big check to address code enforcement. Senator May is also here, Minority Leader Irving is here, and members of the county legislature are here. Yay! I also want to acknowledge Great Syracuse Labor Council Secretary Treasurer James Innes. Yay! Let's do this. So we can take time. I say their names and you clap one time. President of Unite Here Local 150, Anne Marie Telesio. Chris Colabello, Regional Director of NYSUD. Kenny Greenleaf, President of CSCA Region 5. You cheated. Okay, I understand, I got it. But on this one, the woman, you know, if you want to get something done, you know, they say always give it to a woman. The woman who's responsible for organizing this dinner tonight, Wendy Colucci! And again, you can break the rules. Kelly, who's the head maitre d', where is she? Where's Kelly? She's waiting on us. She's been fabulous. She's around here somewhere. We want to thank Kelly for what she's doing. I also saw in the audience, $11.99, pretty purple. Yeah. I also want to offer my condolences to New York State Pipes and Trade President Greg Lancet on the passing of his father, Jack, who was a beloved member of this community and of Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 267 for more than 30 years. May he rest in peace, and we want to thank him for his service to all of us in this room. Congratulations to all of tonight's honorees. You are the living embodiment of the core values of the Syracuse Labor Council, including activist Kathy Kelly of CSCA. I would not be in a position to express myself. I would not be in a position to express dissent, but for the individuals who have, in some cases, have gave the ultimate sacrifice of their life, and there are individuals who go off to foreign shores and fight for us every day. And today we have an unsung hero, veteran Carrie Elbridge. King Davis of CSCA as well. We also want to recognize Shayla Edwards of UAW. We also want to recognize someone whose shoulders we all stand on. He's a wonderful retiree. His name is Bill Spritter of NYSA. I'm always delighted to spend time with my brothers and sisters in labor. As most of you know, I've spent many years as a member of UAW. It was then when I truly understood how unions are critical to our communities. But what you may not know is I'm still active in the union. I'm active. I teach on Mondays, and maybe an hour. I try to take some time off from my busy schedule to think about issues. And so I go down to college and I speak to apprentices at Local 3 at IBEW. Yeah. I teach them about public policy and government. And these apprentices get up at the crack of dawn every day. They age between the age of 18 and around 30. They go to work on these tall buildings in New York City, all across the city and the state. And then they come to school. They say, Tish, you know, I've had a rough life. Some of them former drug addicts, some of them former alcoholics, some of them come from dysfunctional families. But all that they want is the same thing that you and I want, and that is to be a part of the middle class, to make a better life for their children, to improve the human conditions. They confide in me all of their troubles, and all that I say to them is hold on to that dream and keep focusing. And get that degree in your hand. And they understand that the power of that degree plus the power of labor will allow as a pathway, a direct pathway to the middle class. Yes, sometimes they fall asleep in class, but it's okay as long as they do their schoolwork. And yes, sometimes they come in late and they're tired. And yes, sometimes they come in with stories that break your heart. But I'm there for them always. That's how I keep my sanity, and that's how I keep close to the community and close to the ground, because I look in their eyes and I see what you go through. And because they believe in the American dream, I hope you don't mind, as the Attorney General, that I take time off from my schedule. I run down there during my lunch hour or even my dinner hour. I teach them some stuff, and then I come back. I've got this fire in my belly, as most of you know. I walk into that office, I usually sue somebody, and then I go the hell home. And you know who I sue? That's right. But I do it because I believe in the American dream, and I believe in democracy, and I believe that no one is above the law.
Amen.
And the labor movement, has helped us to build America. And what I teach my kids, my students, is that the reason why you've got the weekend off, no, the reason why you've got the evening off is because of labor. The reason why some of you are enjoying pensions is because of labor. The reason why you got overtime is labor. The reason why you got women's rights is labor. The reason why you got civil rights is labor. The reason why we got sick leave is labor. The reason why we got overtime is labor. The reason why we got a strong middle class is labor. The reason why we are here is labor. And we've got to stand together to defend labor. And so what they'll try to do to us now is these artificial constructs. They're going to try to separate us. And we have seen each and every possible attempt to tear us apart, to pit us against one another, and to take back the gains that we fought so hard to achieve. And I don't know about you, but I'll be damned if I allow them to take any food away from your baby's mouth. We've got to stand together with no space between us. And we've got to stand up and we've got to resist. Because we know that when we stand together, when we fight together, and when we fight with power and conviction and passion, and when we fight not about our own means, but when we fight for everyone, when we fight for America, that's when we win. I am so proud to call you allies in the fight for justice, because there are so many in the great state of New York this very night whose rights and whose freedoms are under attack. There are individuals right now, my friend, I'm ashamed to say, that are hiding from government right now. They think that government is the enemy, and that's just not the case. You see, I was always taught that government should be an instrument for improving the human condition. That's why I wake up every day with this fire in my belly, because God has given me so much. I've got an obligation and a duty to give back, which is why I am so blessed and honored to have your support and to stand in this position. And so I work every single day. As I go to work, I know that there are workers who continue to be mistreated and whose protections are being stripped away. It includes workers who continue to face opposition to organizing, individuals who unfortunately get lower than standard wages and unsafe working conditions. We know that our communities are only as strong as our unions. And we cannot afford, my friends, a race to the bottom.
That's right.
This will not be a right to work state. And the number of right to work states are growing because people don't understand the power that they have and the power of labor. And it doesn't make any sense to me that individuals who are in unions vote against their own economic interest and vote for individuals who oppose unions. It doesn't make any sense, and so we, all of us in this room, have a responsibility and a duty to educate those misguided folks and bring them back home to families. They're just lost. They're just lost. That's all that they are. We must love them back. Okay, you know what? Come on. Unions have given so many families and so many millions their chance to work their way out of poverty into the middle class. Unions, my friends, have given you voice. And unions don't just benefit their members, they benefit policies and laws that benefit all Americans. They strengthen democracy by amplifying the voices of freedom and fairness. They promote equity by reducing wage gaps for women. Where are my ladies at? Okay, I know you're sitting next to a guy, but you can yell. Where are the ladies at? Women on average would make less than men. So if you're sitting next to a man, just shove him and say, show me my money. If he's your husband, don't do it too hard, because you may find yourself on the couch tonight. So. For generations, it's been that way, and we saw it in the earliest years of our country when tailors in New York went out on strike because their wages were cut. We saw it in 1911, in the aftermath of the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire that I teach my kids, where these young workers, mostly Italian immigrants and Irish immigrants, were chained into a building when there was a terrible fire. And the workers who survived advocated for basic safety reforms. And I urge all of you to come down to the village and see the plaque on the building. And remember how many lives were lost in that building. And all of the reforms that came as a result of that Triangle Waist Shirt fire. We saw it in 2015 and 2016 when workers from so many different industries successfully fought for $15 an hour, a fight I was so proud to be on the front lines of. And make no mistake, the labor movement will continue to play an indispensable role in safeguarding our rights. Yeah. Unions exemplify the truth that we are stronger and at our best when we all work together. Amen. And that when we're not separated by artificial constructs, and that we not allow anyone to cause a wedge between us, and that we all recognize that we're part of one human family, and that when we're all lifted up, when all boats rise, then our economy and the middle class rises. That's right. And we lost that message. We've got too comfortable. And now we find ourselves in a situation where our rights and our freedoms are being threatened. Too many hardworking New Yorkers face harassment, wage theft, and other forms of workplace exploitation. The number of complaints to my office has gone up all across the state. In fact, my office is fighting back against the federal government's new rules to roll back worker protections, because they've left more workers, rules that leave more workers more vulnerable than ever before. But just as we've seen setbacks in recent months, we've also seen powerful testaments to the true power of the working class. The House of Representatives recently just took a big step forward in strengthening the union movement and protecting labor rights with the passage of the PRO Act. What does the PRO stand for? Protecting the right to organize. Now, we know the bill faces an uphill battle in the Senate, but workers' rights are on the march. And I don't know about you, I've been taught that when we fight together, we win. That's right. That's right. So in New York, we now have a state Senate, and we're so glad that the senator is here, and we know that they will continue to defend the rights of all union members. In New York, we'll continue to have executive leadership that will keep pushing against the injustices stemming from the federal government. In New York City, we now have a minimum wage of $15 an hour that is already in effect, with other parts of the state set to follow suit shortly. And as the Attorney General, as a former public advocate, and as a former city council member, I've always stood with workers, demanding fair contracts, battling privatization and winning, pushing for paid leave, championing the right to organizing, calling out corporations and agencies that wrong their rights, and using the law both as a sword and as a shield to protect the rights of workers. I've been called someone who just loves to sue. That's all that Tish does. She just loves going to court and suing someone. And I make no apologies for that at all. In fact, someone just tweeted, they said in New York, all they do is sue us. You know who's tweeted that. And I said, yes, I do. That's me. But I've got to stand up for the liberties and rights of individuals, and that's what I'm going to do. That's right. We've only been in office a year, but we took on companies that have intentionally cheated workers out of their fair wages. We've challenged the federal government's policies that put profits over people. We've passed a new law to criminalize forms of workplace retaliation. So you can always count on me to safeguard your rights, to safeguard the rights of all of those women who are standing in the back. Turn to them and give them a round of applause for serving every day. dignity and respect, and we've got a right, and we should take time out of our busy schedules just to say thank you. Just to say thank you. And so I've always stood up to those who would hurt working families, from unscrupulous landlords to bosses on Main Street. I've stood up to individuals, to greedy landlords. I've stood up to environmental individuals who would engage in environmental injustice. I've stood up to the powerful. I've stood up for those without voices. I've even stood up to the White House. Yay! And, my office is using every tool at its disposal to ensure that justice applies equally to every hard-working New Yorker. And we are committed to acting on complaints by workers who have been barred from bringing their own actions because of arbitration clauses in contracts. Contracts that they have been made to sign as a condition of employment. We are committed to targeting companies that use contracts to avoid accountability, exploit workers, and deny their rights through the use of non-disclosure agreements and non-compete clauses. We are committed to fighting abuses in the workplace by taking on sexual harassment, enforcing equal pay laws, fighting gender wage discrimination and the feminization of poverty, and defending immigrant workers' rights. We are committed to defending workers from corporate theft by taking on wage theft, aggressively policing wage violations on public contracts, investigating worker misclassification, and pushing for legislation that will hold predatory businesses accountable, and joining with all of you to ensure that we get prevailing wages on public contracts in the state of New York. We are also committed to getting Washington moving to pass what I think should be a bipartisan approach, a bipartisan bill. And that is a bill to put people back to work by passing an infrastructure bill. I don't know about you, but I've taken my car to the mechanic too many times because the roads and the bridges, they need to be repaired. And our crumbling roads and bridges, they need obviously to be improved, that we can put millions of people to work. Individuals, we can match their skills to repair all of this work, and the kids that I speak to on Monday, they can certainly use an opportunity. And we are committed to the goal of expanding health care coverage, reducing health care costs, and ensuring that people who have worked all of their lives are entitled to retire with dignity and with good pensions. My brothers and sisters, we are committed to seeking justice for working New Yorkers in every way that we can, and overall improving the lives of all New Yorkers. I want to thank all of you for standing with me to unleash the power of the people, the power of justice, and the power of solidarity. We are in this together. And let me leave you with a simple call to action. We all know 2020 is going to be a busy year. Let us begin first with the census. As you know, my office was successful in removing the citizenship question from the census form. Now, believe it or not, that's controversial. I've gone to some circles, even in labor, and they've said, "We're not with you, Tish." And I said, "Why?" And they said, "Well, shouldn't we know how many citizens are in this country?" And I said, "That's a good question, yeah. But the reality is the census has nothing to do with citizenship. In our Constitution, the census speaks to the enumeration of all individuals. And it's inextricably tied to how much money we get from Washington, D.C. You see, we send more money to Washington than we get back. And it's based on a population count. And so if you leave populations out, if you undercount populations, we get less money. So you can be xenophobic all you want, but the reality is we need more money. And you don't have a problem with that, do you? And they go, "Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right." Second issue, I said we could ill afford to lose congressional seats. And if there is an undercount, we will lose money and we will lose representation in Congress. We could lose 1, maybe 2 congressional seats. So do you want them to be lost up here?
Oh, hell no.
Somebody said, "Hell no." Well, then we've got to get to work. We've got to make sure everyone is counted because everyone matters and because so much is on the line. From health care to infrastructure, from schools to roads to bridges. We've got to make sure that we've got resources. So we are being called, my friends, to lift our voices and our bodies and our votes to bring about change, to defend democracy and the rule of law. And we've got to vote. We've got to vote because so much is on the line, my friends. I would argue that democracy is on the line. I would argue that we face an existential threat at this point in time. And I would argue that the rule of law is on the line. And I don't know about you, but there's just too much on the line for us to ill afford. So we've got to wake up and vote and make sure everyone gets out. No excuse, we've got early voting. And so we've got to make sure that our unity is our strength. And we get those numbers out to the polls. And we will not fail. Before I leave, I wanted to say happy birthday to someone. Happy birthday to Wendy. Where's Wendy? Right there. Okay. Ready? Yep. Happy birthday to Table 10. I don't see you singing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Wendy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Thank you so much.
Wasn't that amazing? Let's hear it again for Tish James. And let me just piggyback on something she said about immigration. My grandfather came over here from Italy back in 1922. He got a job. He swarmed a union at Member Learberry's clothes. He was part of Amalgamated Clothing Workers. I am immigration mission accomplished. That's why we should be pulling up that ladder. We should be extending that ladder. Make sure everybody gets a leg up in this country. So with that, we're going to be putting out the food. They're going to be calling you table by table. And then, so we're going to eat. Then we're going to start our program in a little, one more announcement. So Laura